Hi, and welcome to the Heartland Knits podcast. My name is Vicki, but you can find me as Heartland Knits on Ravelry and Instagram. And today is Sunday, July 5th, 2015. This is going to be the sort of post-Knitpocalypse episode. I actually drove home last Sunday and kind of in the back of my mind thought I would record maybe when I got home. And then I was just wiped out. Just so many people and so much talking and it was such a good time. And I thought, well, I'll just put it off to Monday. And you know when that happens, it never gets done. I was actually it took me a couple days last week to fully recover from the fun. So anyway, I know it's like been a week and a lot of the stuff that I got is already put away because I did this whole cleaning, reorganizing stuff last week. And so I know there's probably things that I'm going to forget to tell you about or people I forget to tell you about or so hopefully not, but I figure there aren't as many things out that I can use to jog my memory. So, and I didn't write anything down last week. So I have new projects to show you. So let me start out with what's on my needles. And well, one you're going to say, no, she's been working on that a long time. Remember this green yarn? Yeah, I started on the re-knitting of the shawl. I took this along with me to ZK, but I ended up not working on it at all. So when I got home, it was like a nice kind of easy restful sort of project that I could just pick up. And I decided just to catch you up in case you are like a new person that hasn't watched, this is the third sort of incarnation of knitting a shawl out of this yarn. It was hand spun that I spun a year ago, and it's Lisa Seuss's fiber in the water garden color or something like that. But I started a shawl last winter and then I decided I didn't want to do that one and I ripped it out. And then I did practically all but this much of the cast off of a Boonitz shawl. And then I decided I didn't really want it to be that shape and size, and it wasn't what I wanted. And so I ripped that one out, and that was right before ZK. And so I kind of knew if I didn't just delve in and restart it again, it might not get done. And I really want, this is one, I'm mostly a process knitter, and this is one of the things where I really want that product. I want that green shawl to wear. So I decided, and I cast on for this right before the retreat, but I decided to do this shawl, which is called Chong Baru, and it's by Asa Tricosa. And apologies if I said any of those things wrong. It's a kind of mostly stockinette inner section with a big fancy border. And I thought kind of the stockinette section would be good to work on at the retreat. And I cast it on. And so this is as far as I got. I didn't knit on it at the retreat at all, but I knit this stockinette section last week. I really like how the different kind of its striping from the hand spun, and I don't know if you're going to be able to, I think you'll be able to see, it's got kind of one center kind of spine where you increase, and then there's two here that you increase down that are sort of like if you had a raglan, and then the front sections will kind of wrap around. So it's a nice interesting shape, and then you increase on the sides. But what I really like, because it's got this simple stockinette, but it has this really pretty kind of little beaded lace edge along the entire top. So even though you're doing all that stockinette, you've got a little bit of something to like think about the beginning and end of every row. And it starts, I really like how it started with kind of the way you do a tab cast on, except it did it in this lacy pattern, which I really think is pretty. And doing this kind of an edge, I don't know if you're going to be able to see, it's super stretchy, so you don't have to worry about you know, like when you just have some garter at the edge, or you're increasing along the edge to make it loose enough. It just, because you're doing this lace edging, it with the yarn overs along there, because it's got kind of a like yarn over line right next to the stockinette, and then the little edge, the little beads on the edging. So I'm enjoying knitting it a lot. It's one of those things I can, you know, pick up and put down. It's a 4-stitch repeat for that lace. So I can, you know, sit and do 4 rows and get, you know, a little bit done all the time. So I'm almost to the point where I'm going to start the edging. I'm beginning to think maybe I counted my yardage wrong on this yarn, because when the first, or the Boonitz version, it just, there seemed to be so much yarn compared to what I was thinking I would, you know, how many repeats that I would thought that I would be able to do. And this one too, that my gauge on this is a little bit smaller than what she calls for in the pattern. So I was just going to do the small size according to yardage. But I'm doing, like, you do 2 more repeats kind of for the large size, and it tells you need 55% of your yarn for the border, and I'm kind of nowhere near 55%. So I decided to go up those couple extra repeats and then start it, and I'm almost like to that point. I have like 1 set of increases to do. It's a really nice pattern. I feel like it's kind of very well thought out pattern, and it's, you know, easy to follow, easy to read, and charted, and all of those things. So that is kind of one thing that I've been working on. The other thing is something that I started last winter, and it just, I don't know what happened. It kind of just got stalled out, and I really wanted to have this done. So I, you know, picked this back up and figured out where I was, like what I wanted to do. I think what happened, and I'll show you what this is. And this is a hand-spun sweater. I started it kind of the first of the year. And this is a sweater that I'm just kind of making up. It's this was the first batch of a hand spun that I spun enough for an entire sweater. And this is also Lisa Seuss's fiber. It's Wensleydale in the jonquil color, and I have had this for a long time. I probably bought it and spun it like 8, 9, 10 years ago. I've had it for a long time, and I knit a sweater out of it, and I didn't like how it turned out, so I ripped the whole thing out, and then it's been sitting there, and I really want to get it done for this summer, because Lisa's coming for Stitches Midwest, and I need to have it finished for that. So I picked it back up. I am double stranding it. It was spun to sort of a fingering weight, and I'm double stranding it to make a thicker fabric. And it's going to be a cardigan, a yoke cardigan. This is the body. You'll notice I am not steeking it. It's not because I'm afraid of steeking. I've, you know, cut my knitting a lot. It's just that this Wensleydale is really slippery. And so I just decided I was not going to do it. And it's going to have a lacy kind of stitch pattern. This is called the wheat ear rib, and this is going to be the bottom edge. That is going to be kind of my main knitting. You know, I started a few other little things, but because I have a lot to show you, I'm just not going to like go through them all today. Because I have a lot of stuff off the needles. First, I'm going to show you the stuff that, a few things that I forgot to show you last week, and that, or the 2 weeks ago, the last podcast, and that is I taught a class on cast-ons at the retreat, and I made a bunch of little samples. So I'm counting these as finished projects. And so these are just little tiny little baby hats. Originally, when I was going to do these, just for kind of samples, I thought, well, I wanted to do like little preemie hats, something that would be useful that I could give away. And I would have, and I probably still will, except I wanted to do videos to go along with the handouts that I created. And I did videos while I was taking the pictures for the handouts, but I just felt like the contrast between the background and the yarn color and the needle color and all of that, there just wasn't enough contrast, so I wanted to redo it. So I kept these so that I could, show them as examples in the videos. But anyway, there are like six little hats, showing different cast-ons from German Twisted. We did German Twisted, we did Channel Island, we did like tubular, Latvian or double start, double needle, and then just kind of like I had, mentioned something about, well, knitting or casting on in knit and purl, and they went, what? You can cast on in pattern? So we just, went through casting on, in knit and purl, so you could do knit 3 and then purl 3 and have it set up before you even start knitting. So I'm counting these as finished projects. And then I finished 2 projects last week at the retreat. I'm trying to push this in and it's not going in there. I finished 2 projects at the retreat. I finished my twined mitten that I showed you, that I think I was just past the thumb when I took it. I kind of got it to that point and then put it aside and left it because it was pretty easy, kind of an easy project to work on. So I now have my 2 twined mittens. I have to say, this is like one of my favorite projects ever. These were so fun to knit. I loved them. It's kind of a cross between a pattern that was in threads and a pattern like the patterns that were in the Anna May Ling book on twined knitting. And I used Blackberry Ridge in their wool and silk. On the edge, I just used a little bit of red. I think it was red left over from a lollipop yarn, which I felt pretty secure in because it's like red next to the white. But I've washed my lollipop yarn socks and the colors never bleed, so I was pretty sure it would be safe to use on the edge for, the edge of the mitten. And these were knit at 10 stitches to the inch, and I used size 0 needles, 2mm, and I just love it. And so I don't think I've taken a picture of the finished ones, but these I did, because we're having the mitten along in the Ravelry group, which is Friends of Heartland Knits. So if you're interested in knitting mittens, you should come over and join us. And then since we're talking about the mitten along, I just want to throw this out there because my friend Angela posted about it in the mitten along thread on the Rav group, and because I was completely unaware of this, and it's just so sweet. And so Kat Lewinsky is doing a mitten garland advent calendar along, and she is making, so there's different little mittens for 24 weeks. She started in June, I guess the middle of June, so she's got 3 of them, and they're supposed to be like maybe 4 inches tall, and she's doing them out of fingering weight yarn. And so making all little mittens, and you can like tuck a little thing in there. I know people have done little sock ones like that. Um, but I just think they're so sweet there. So I'm 3 weeks behind. I might have to like just join in kind of late and do it because I think it would be really, really fun to do. Um, so anyway, if you're interested in that, I think she might have a group or something. I'm not familiar with her, but I just think they look like really pretty. I want to do like figure out sort of the yarn I want to use, like colors. I think it would be really fun, like really pretty to like do them and like put them on a garland, like for a decoration, not specifically to put little, treats in or anything, but just to use it for kind of decoration at Christmas time. So anyway, there is that, but that is kind of off the track of the what's off my needles. And I finished a pair of socks when I was at ZK. I finished my Flirt socks by Lollipop Yarn, and I, I think I started these on New Year's Day, but they were kind of just socks that I took around. But they're my just basic vanilla. Show you I got my stripes matched up. I get the things. So I have my stripes all matched up. And the really like exciting thing is I got to meet Joan of Lollipop Yarn. I didn't realize that she was going to be there until I was sitting with somebody and they said something about that she was there, and I went, wait, what? She's here. I mean, she didn't bend or anything, but she just attended as a civilian, like just because it's fun. And so I was so glad I had my sock that I was working on. After I finished the twine mitten, then I would take my sock and I finished up the leg of the second sock and put the heel in. And so I didn't know what she looked like at all, and I kept waiting for in the evening everybody got together and they did the door prize giveaways. And so I kept waiting to hear her name because they would say your name and then your Ravelry name. And because I thought I'm going to see when they announce her name, I'm going to see where she's sitting so that I know what she looks like and I can show her my socks and tell her how much I like them. And they didn't call her name till the last night. But so it was, a couple people like knew her. And I said, well, if you we're in the same, you see her, please let me know because I want to meet her. So sort of out of the blue, on Saturday in the market, my friend Nancy, motioned me up, come here, and introduced me to her. And I was not prepared. That's my story. But I'm so sorry, Joan. I completely fangirled over her. I'm not usually that gushy. But I have this she took this silly little picture of me. I'm standing there holding my sock next to Joan, and I was so excited because this is I bought a bunch of her sock yarn. It was still hard to get, but it wasn't quite as hard to get as it is right now. But I bought a bunch years ago. I would try to get it kind of every week when she would update, and at that time she only had one base, which is the traditional base, and I love it. It is to me it is the perfect sock yarn. It's really nice and smooth, and it's it's thin enough so that when you knit your socks, you don't have to worry about them fitting into your shoes that I need to get a bigger size shoes to wear my hand knit socks in because if they're too thick, it doesn't really work. So at a couple, I think in June, at some point, she said she had a new base of fingering weight yarn, and she was going to discontinue this one. And the new base was a little bit thicker and honestly, I've never seen it, but I love this one so much. So I was going to like, you know, kind of try to convince her. And she went and, I told her how much I loved the space. And she said, oh no, she decided not to discontinue it. So yay. Um, because a lot of people were like me that said they really, really liked it. So I was like super excited about that. And so anyway, that was my second finished project for the last 2 weeks. And so in spinning, I have a lot to tell you about that too. I'm going to start with the Tour de Fleece started yesterday, and I ended up joining a team. But so before that started, I worked really hard at finishing up the spinning that I had been doing kind of in the winter. And I had been spinning a loop bump during the winter, and I finished spinning the single before the retreat, and then I kind of forgot about it until like Thursday, and then I had cleaned up my wheels and like waxed the wheels and things, and thought, oh, I'm gonna like ply up that that bobbin of singles. And so I took my big Saxony out on the porch, and it was a really nice day, and I spun and spun and spun and spun. It took like kind of 2 days to ply this up. But this is my loop bump, all plied up. It's showing a little brighter than, that's better, that's more of the colors. But I Navajo plied this, and I ended up with 508 yards. So I did not spin it as thin as the first loop bump I had. This was 4.5 ounces of fiber. I could tell when I was plying it that the last bits that I spun were the lighter pink and the kind of the next darker pink, and I could just tell in my fingers that I had spun them thicker, because I think I was in a hurry, and I was so those are spun a little bit thicker than the really darkest kind of maroon wine. But I love how the colors turned out. I cannot wait to knit a shawl out of this. The color was called Sugar Plum, and it had a lot of stuff in it. It had merino, corriedale, nylon, bamboo, tussa silk, and angelina. So the shawl that kind of while I was spinning it, that I had in my head that I was going to knit from it, I won't have enough yardage for that one. That one needed like a little bit more. And so I have some other ideas of what I want to do with this, but I am definitely going to do one that goes from the black, the darkest one, to the lightest, because I think that'll be like really, 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 really pretty. So there is that. And then I thought I would just kind of quick, since Tour de Fleece just started, I thought I would quick go over what I was going to do. So I don't always do Tour de Fleece, but I was sort of, Jeanette from Sun Valley Fibers, ended up is having a team, and I just thought it would be really fun to join in. So I'm having a really I'm not like pushing it like a real lot. So I am spindling here. So I got some Sun Valley Fibers fiber, which is this. It is Superwash BFL, and this color is called Boundary Waters, and this was the color of the Knitpocalypse retreat last year. But I love how it looks on fiber. It's so pretty. And so I decided I'm going to spindle this, because I love spindling like Superwash fiber, and I'm using this spindle, which is my Ave Wasserman. And I love this spindle because you can see like it goes clear through. It's not just marquetry on the top. It goes like clear through. And so this was my spinning just from yesterday. you know, I don't know. Hopefully I will get the whole thing done. I'm thinking I'm going to do a 2-ply, and it's superwash, so I will probably do a 2-ply for socks. I've done them before. I've done 3-ply socks and cable ply socks, but my 2-ply socks seem to work up, you know, they haven't worn out yet, and it's been a couple years, so I feel they're okay. So I'm not sure. I split up. I split the fiber in half lengthwise, and then split one half of those in little pieces. I'm not sure if I will do it as a fractal or I'll just like split the other side up in little pieces if I do the whole thing on my spindle. I think this would look really pretty just as a basic 2-ply, not especially as a fractal, but I've got time to decide. I like spinning on my spindle. I like spinning, you know, pieces of fiber like at this thickness, because then it just flows and it's easy to draft. And then the other thing that I'm going to do that is a little going to be like way more challenging for me is way back. This comes from winter 2003. On the cover of Spin-Off, there were these mittens. And since this time, I was a brand new spinner at this point when I got this magazine. But ever since then, I have wanted to knit these mittens. And it doesn't really show on the picture, but the cuff is kind of a lace pattern, and then, you know, it's just stockinette for the hand. And these were, I think they're Carol Rhodes pattern, or the article was, I suppose the pattern was too. But at that point, and probably maybe even still now, it was just way beyond me, first off, to spin mohair. And secondly, she spun 2 different yarns. She spun a 2-ply for the lace cuff, and then she spun a 3-ply to make it stronger and thicker, or not really thicker, but for the hand. But they were both kind of the same size yarn. And at that point I went, I was just trying to spin like a yarn. I didn't know, how do you spin a 2-ply and a 3-ply and have them the same size? So, and these were spun from mohair locks. So throughout all this time, I have remembered these mittens, and every time I went to like sheep and wool, or there was like this little market up in Door County that I know I bought a lot of mohair locks from, because but every time I saw mohair locks for sale, I would buy a few ounces, remembering these mittens that I wanted to knit were from mohair locks. So I have this little bag, and these are the mohair locks that I want to turn into those mittens. I have spun mohair in a class, in several classes, but not for a while. But they are like really pretty. These were dyed by Judy Pickin, and she is in, I know she's in Door County, but I'm not sure where, in Brussels, Wisconsin. But so anyway, this is going to be sort of my challenge spinning. So there. So for show and tell, I have a bunch of stuff to show you. It's not kind of everything. I just like pulled stuff, and like I said, some stuff has been put away, but then some stuff I just set up by the computer, so it's right here. So if you gave me something and I forgot, you know, and I don't have it here to show, just please know that I appreciate it and thank you for it. But I wanted to show you this really cute bag that my roommate gave me. It's this really cute bag, and look, it's got this great big, make it like pretty. It's tied with this great big pink ribbon, and it's got a little handle. She gave it to me with some stuff in it, and it had, I was wearing a little yellow dress, and I held it up and I went, I could use this for a purse. It's so cute. I love it. And she gave me the name of the maker who's on Etsy, and the card is somewhere. It's like one of those things that I don't like have right here. So, but it's got a great big square bottom, And then when you untie it and you open it opens up like really, really big. And there are pockets inside, and it is lined in satin. So you can use it for like fiber, and the fiber won't stick to the material. Um, but anyway, I just absolutely love this bag so much. I ended up not buying any bags at the market, and it's hard when you like sometimes when to go to the market. Because I want to buy something from everybody, but like bags are I have so many of them, and then there you get ones that like you love so much. Like I love my my little one from Brown Dog Bags, that the little I've shown it to you, the little flowered one. I love that so much, and I love this one so much that you know I don't know. It's just I can't. I tried again this year to get things from people that I hadn't bought from before. But anyway, first I'm going to show you the other stuff. My door prize. So I received, everybody got a door prize, and I think some people got two really great door prizes. People even Megan and Amy even contributed like door prizes. Like Megan, one of the prizes was she would get yarn and knit you a hirafude, knit you a sweater. Amy, like was pulled, and Amy was going to like get fiber and then spin a yarn for them, and I think even knit something out of the yarn. I can't remember, but like, oh my gosh. So anyway, I won a little kind of like kit, and this is from Holiday Yarns, and it's this like really pretty turquoisey color. Definitely one of my colors. It is a lace yarn. It's 525 yards. It's called Skinny U Lace, 50 Merino, 50 Silk, and the color is called Aqua Marina. I think it's Zephyr that like she's dyed, because that's what it feels like to me, which is like really nice for shawls. I've knit a lot of Zephyr shawls in the past. So it's like a really pretty color, and it came with this pattern for the beaded cowl, and then it had this like little package of like all different colored beads, which I am not a big cowl knitter, and so anyway, I might not like use this for this, but I will definitely, this will be a definite, like it's definitely in my color sort of range. So that was a great prize to win. And then like the market on Saturday, I wasn't like really intent on, getting there, standing outside waiting for the doors to open. I figured that they would have yarn left over, and they did. But one of the ones that I knew I wanted to get was Fishnets was coming, and she's was all the way from California. She was coming to Minnesota, like, pack up all her yarn. So I wanted to be sure to get something of hers. And she has self-striping yarn. And it was a hard decision. I mean, back kind of in the old days, when I first went in the booth, I, picked out, I like this one, and I like this one, and I like this one. And I probably, back in the old days, I would have bought like 3 or 4 of them. But at this point, I'm not trying to really like increase my stash by tons, and thinking, well, I'm not going to like sit down and knit it like immediately. So I kind of left everything there, and then walked around hoping sort of somebody would make my decision for me, and I would get whichever one was still there. Then they were all still there. So anyway, it came down, and I ended up getting this one, which is it's a little bit brighter than this, but it is 2 colors of yellow and 2 colors of gray, and then white, and it's self-striping. It's called Make New Friends. And anyway, I don't know, this one was the first one that I pulled off of the racks, and so I just kind of went with that. And and I'm looking forward to, I'm thinking what I'm going to do with this is kind of do charcoal heels and toes. She was so nice because, you know, I was like, just like trying to decide, and she I had this one in my hand. She said, I'm doing a project out of that. Do you want to see it? And so I said, sure. And so she was doing the typhoon shawl, Josh's typhoon shawl, and she had this color and then charcoal, and it looked really pretty together. And so I thought charcoal heel and toe would be real, like set off these colors. And anyway, so that was one thing. And the other thing that I went to the market kind of knowing in my head that I wanted to get was I wanted to get a skein of MCN from Jeanette at Sun Valley Fibers to use for the lining of mittens. I figure it's 400 yards. I can do like 2 pairs of mittens with one color. And I knew in my head, I was hoping beyond hope that she had this color, because I almost bought a sweater's worth of this at the retreat in her retreat in January. And this is called Bare Feet, but it's this really bright turquoise. It's even like a darker turquoise than what I won. And I have a sweater's quantity I ended up buying. It's a different base, so it took the color a little bit differently. It's a lighter color, but I think this will go with all the kind of color combinations that I was like thinking of in my head of like mitten, you know, like if you did like charcoal and white or red and white or whatever, with this color that would just like pop like for the lining. I knew I wanted that, so I got that one. And then the kind of total shock, different one, like really sort of out of my usual like sort of comfort zone. And this was from a dyer that I didn't buy anything from last year. She was there last year, but I didn't get anything from her. So this was from Marigold Jen, and I got this skein, which, oh, there, you can kind of see it. It's not my usual colors at all, but I love it so much. It is called Copper Patina, and it's in her sock yarn, but it's got sparkles in it. So it's, I don't know if they're going to show up. Yeah, a little bit. But it is so pretty, kind of olivey, bronzy, you know, background with pops of turquoise and kind of like clay red kind of colors. This was the one that I thought I want to like wind this and cast something on. I'm not sure what it's going to be. It would make really pretty socks. It would make a really pretty shawl. It would make wouldn't that be pretty like for gloves too? I don't know. I just saw it, fell in love with it, and had to buy it. So those were kind of my only market purchases. I think they were the only yarn purchases, and I didn't buy any. I think that was it. But I did have one more skein of yarn, and this was in the goodie bag. There were 5 different dyers that contributed yarn for it, and I got the Cyberg's Craft Room, and this is her Northern Lights color. This was the color of the retreat, and I just think it's so beautiful. She does her colors are just so layered and just beautiful. This is her Asakalate base, so I'm not sure. I got a couple other skeins of her yarn from last year that I still haven't knit up, so I need to do that. So that was all the yarn that I got. Then I got a couple little things. I got this little heart. It's so sweet and squishy. And I don't remember who gave it to me. I'm so sorry. I love it. It's so sweet. But I can't remember. Somebody like walked up and gave it to me, and I can't remember who you were. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It's so cute. And then Deb, who is, she was Deb C. Quilts. Now she's Crafty Mystic. She made these beautiful, they're napkins that she made, which are just beautiful. So thank you, Deb. I have like a gold tablecloth that these will look really pretty with, like in the, like I always take that gold tablecloth out in the fall, and I think these will look really pretty with that. And then I wanted to, I did take this out and put it up here because um, this was in the goodie bag, and this came, there were like a lot of like little like business cards with coupon codes and things like that, and then like just other little promotional stuff. And this came from Susan from Girl Cave Bags, and it is, I think, the best like little kind of thing to add in to like something that I have ever seen. It's like the most useful and like wonderful little thing, and it's this little tiny nail file that she just had in like this little bag with her business card, and I thought it's just genius, just absolutely genius, because it's like a really useful thing, and it's a small enough like little size that it can fit in your notions thing or whatever. And I love Susan did have a like table. She had made a bunch of bags, and I love her bags. I use mine all the time. She does such a good job. But so anyway, and then just the last thing I thought I would show you is Friday night. They took all the teachers out for dinner at Chester's, which is kind of my favorite place there. And then they gave us these little things like for the volunteers. I think they gave them to all the people who volunteered. They had a lot of volunteers to help, put together the goodie bags and, sit at the, reception desk and check people in and stuff like that. But it's this little patch that has their logo on it. And then it's this little tin from Little Little Skein. And she does like really, really nice stitch markers. They're like, just these little ring kind with the bead. But then there's one in there that has like a charm. And they were all different. And mine turned out to be a little sheep. So thank you, Megan and Amy. It was like just a wonderful time. So it was a wonderful retreat. It was wonderful to see everybody again. There were a lot of people there. By Friday, I was kind of like getting like, okay, there's like a lot of people. And then Saturday, I was kind of getting like totally like glazed over. So hopefully if you met me, it was like Wednesday or Thursday, I was very like bouncy and like, I'm so glad I'm here. Friday and Saturday, I was just kind of holding on. Because I'm just not used to that many people around. But it was wonderful to see people that I met in other years and other retreats, and we had lots of good meals, and it was a wonderful time. So Thursday, Lynn Lightning had kind of arranged. She kind of headed this up because she did this last year, and there's a kind of a wine and canvas kind of painting studio where you all paint the one picture, and they had done this last year, and so thought it would be fun to get a big group to do it again, and I've always wanted to do that. And I thought it would be like so much fun. I am like so not an artist, and I think this is the first thing I've ever painted since like, I don't know, the 6th grade when we had art class or something. But I just was going for the fun of it, and it was a pretty picture, kind of a wildflower picture, and it was all fun until the eyedroppers came out. So the picture kind of had a big sun that you like put in, and you put the sky and you put the big sun in, and that was all fun because you kind of shaded around like to like do the rays of the sun. And then it had like a kind of a grassy hill, and you like shaded, and you had to mix the colors of green, and it was like really fun. You did all the like the little grass and stuff, and so that was all good. And she kind of took a long time for the sky, and so the grass started feeling kind of rushed, and then you had to put like little flowers like throughout the on the little hill, and to do that, you had to kind of like mix your paint to the perfect consistency with like adding water, and then you took a little eyedropper and you dropped the eyedropper all around. And yeah, when you're not like really don't know what you're doing, that was not. And you like me, because first of all, I like the little detailed little needles, little brushes, little stuff, and I also like the total like lack of control of like dropping the eyedropper was not good. And then it was awful to try to clean the eyedropper out and like get different colors. So anyway, I brought my painting home. It's not going on a wall anywhere. But it was just like fun to do. So this is my painting. I love my sun. I love the rays around it, and I loved the grass. And so you'd had to put the eyedropper on, and I don't know if I had too much water or not enough water, but my little circles were like these great big like dome things, and I thought these are never going to dry. I mean, and I had a couple days. I wasn't trying to pack it in a suitcase. I knew I could just put it in like my car, but they just like bugged me because they were big. And so I tried to fix them by like making petals on them to make ones. And so that's how like mine have like petals. And then if you look like in here, there were a whole bunch of like pink ones that were like that. And so at the end, I just thought I couldn't stand it. And we didn't have that much time, and so I was like, no, I have to fix this before I leave. And so I went back, and I like how I put some more like green over the pink, and so the pink kind of looks like there's like things like behind, like layered in there. And I actually like how that turned out. I would have liked to have fixed the yellow ones. There just was not like enough time. I felt like they were practically like trying to yank the brush out of my hand, like go. And then so anyway, it was great. But the best part of like the whole thing, so there was a big group of us, and I think a bunch left before I like finished, and so there was maybe 6 or 7 of us like walking back to the hotel, and you kind of had to keep them horizontal because so that the paint didn't run. And so we were walking back to the hotel, and we were past this older woman who is sitting in a wheelchair, just kind of parked on the sidewalk. Like whoever was with her was probably in a store, and it's hard to negotiate those big wheelchairs in like a little store. And so she was it was a beautiful, nice, afternoon, and so Lynn and I were kind of at the front and kind of stopped and showed her our paintings, like look what we did and stuff, and she was happy somebody was talking to her, and then the rest of the group kind of caught up with us, and they were like all had theirs, and they're like, well, look at mine and look at mine, and so we were kind of all surrounding her, and she just looked around and just was laughing and said, oh, this just this was the best day, you made my day. And so just being able to like do that was worth like was worth the eyedropper stress. So the whole thing was fun, and it got to be a little stressful when the eyedroppers came out. But anyway, it was a really a fun time. So all in all, a really wonderful retreat. I highly recommend it. I know I'm forgetting like a ton of stuff. It was great. The weather was really nice, except for one night we walked to dinner. It was raining, but oh well. but most of the rest of the time it was beautiful, and we could sit outside and eat, and we could, sit outside. They have tables out on the Peace Plaza. We would, drag tables together and then, sit and knit outside, and that was wonderful. I wish I would have done that on Friday, because I think that's when, like, when there's a lot of like noise, and it's not like, it's just people talking and laughing. It just, when there's a lot of people, it kind of, builds up in my head or something. And I wish I would have gone outside. I think I would have had a little more energy the last couple days. But all in all, it was wonderful. So it is definitely a longer show. I didn't take any pictures. Like, I think I took a couple pictures at the painting place, and we didn't get a picture of everybody's paintings, which would have been really fun, because that was like one of the really fun parts of that whole experience, is just seeing, we were all doing the same thing, and heard her like instructions, and just seeing how different all the paintings turned out. But that just never happened, because they had to be kept kind of, level when we were just finished. So I don't have any pictures really to share. Just know that it was a really great time. But this is a much longer podcast than usual. I hope to see you again next week, and I hope that yellow sweater is well on its way to being finished. It doesn't have to be finished by the time knitting camp comes around, which is the end of this month. But I want it to be well on its way. I can be working on it there, and that'll be fine. I just want it done before stitches, which is kind of the beginning of August. So I hope you all have a great week this week, and until I see you, from my heart to yours, happy knitting.